Bill Glose is a past vice president and past President Pro Tempore at PSV. He's the author of 1 book of fiction, All the Ruined Men, 5 books of poetry, including Postscript War, which won the 2023 Library of Virginia Award. Actually, that one is a book, not a poetry book. It's a fiction book, more or less, right? There's probably some grains of truth in there. He's also written Virginia Walkabout, Personal Geography, The Human Touch, Child in the Movies, Memory of Spring, and 10 Twisted Tales. And as I like to say, an all-around great paratrooper. Here, Bill.
So for this first poem, there's something I want to mention about it. It's called sfumato, which is an artistic technique. And for this technique, which a lot of the Renaissance painters like to use, they blend the edges over and over to make the foreground and background kind of merge into each other. Da Vinci famously used this when he painted the Mona Lisa. If you look at her face, it just blends into the background. So that comes into play here. And the other thing is that when I talk about the husband and wife in here, it's Ed and Evelyn I'm thinking of. So this is sfumato. Sharp edges belong to lust-filled passions of youth, the grabbing tug of infatuation. Time wears down a cliff's steep sides into slope-shouldered mountains, seeking the comfort of bed after so many years on their feet. Nothing lives longer than atoms, infinitesimal morsels in a billion different stews. Rock, tree, raindrop, a portion of each before seized by another matter. In their decades together, how many atoms from a husband intertwine with those of his wife? The long, leisurely joy of another's presence with no need of speaking. Such subtle devotion demands a blurring of lines. Exactly what Leonardo meant to capture when he painted La Gioconda. Hours of repeated layers blending the fringe of her face, softening transition between foreground and back, between this world and the next, in the manner of smoke. And this next one is for all you fans of Rumi out there. I tried to imagine Rumi today taking a look around. It does open with an epigraph by Rumi. I choose to love you in loneliness, for in loneliness no one owns you but me. Finding solace in the solitude of crowds. Rumi takes his lunch break on the curb with a carton of veggie lo mein, admiring how the lid opens like petals of a lotus, hoping to catch the sun. One sniff, and he can tell his request for no MSG went unheeded. He's used to wanting what he cannot have. Say to yourself, this doesn't matter, then how can it? Sifting through carrots, mushrooms, broccoli, he picks a snow pea from the rice with chopsticks and sets it on his tongue, preferring to savor each taste by itself. The crush of downtown marches by, drumming feet on pavement like the backbeat to a song he can't make out. Everyone's face is blank as an unrippled pond. Earbuds wedged in canals, or else a phone cupped in hands, necks bent like weary camels drinking from an oasis. But no nourishment here, and no point asking them to look up and make room for sky in their hearts. We are what we choose to do, not what we are told. Leaning over, Rumi inhales scents of garlic, ginger, and sesame oil, then picks out a broccoli spear, tips his head back. Overhead, clouds glide in the blue gap between glass towers. And I briefly mentioned the telephone in there. Everybody so enraptured by it. So this poem I thought I would write about the telephone, both the one today and the ones from yesterday. Telephone. Palm-sized slab nesting in a pocket, waiting for a finger's brush to rouse the screen's inky pond, to gulp gigabytes of data streaming from an endless sea. Flip phones and Blackberries, now relics, hearkening passage of time, small changes piling into mountains while my back was turned. When I was a child in England, our number was Columbia 349. And to call outside our exchange, we had to use the operator. Phones were rotary until the sleek princess with her light-up dial replaced her clunky uncles, their handsets like barbells that weighed almost as much. Each ring brought a sense of mystery. No caller ID for screening, no idea who was waiting on the other end. There was joy when you dialed and someone answered. Conversations spooling out as you paced round the kitchen and the cord stretched long. Like a ritual, those walks. Never a sense of being cut off when we left home without a way to communicate with the world beyond our sight. We'd head out on adventures until our moms, standing on stoops at dusk, screamed our names. And we'd return covered in dust and sweat, never once wondering who'd called while we were out. And this last one, as you know, those of you who've heard me before, I like to end readings on kind of a humorous note. So Jack and Judith, I'm going to read your favorite. This is Postscript from the Orgy. Forgive me for not fully disrobing like everyone else, for sidling up tented inside my oversized tee. It's just, I haven't been to the gym since 2 weeks after New Year's. My resolutions tired of stuffing themselves into spandex, saying no to cream. Sorry also for staring at the wriggling scrum like a talent show judge expecting better performance. Truth is, I was always last one picked when splitting up for teams, each captain scraping my stubbled truth with razored scrutiny before selecting someone else. You see, this was my first orgy, and I didn't know the etiquette. If I should wait like a bowler for the next lane to finish before towing the waxy slats myself. Most of all, I'm sorry for laughing when your searching hand gripped that delicate spot on my body and squeezed. It wasn't that I wanted you to stop, as you did. Tacking toward another harbor, sails billowing with angry wind. I was just surprised with all the options rippling in that flesh-colored sea, that anyone would choose to board my listing craft, to grab my oar and row, that joy overtook my mouth like a gull signaling the coming shore.